barge right in, hopefully.
And we are live. Hello, everybody. John is coming on the camera right here. All right. We got John, Hannah, we've got Scout Anderson, and myself. So, welcome back to our regular LinkedIn Lives. I'm going to introduce these two guys real quick because they are people that you absolutely need to know. Without going into too many details, John Hannah is the founder and president of Contour Panel and Builders Closets. With over 2 decades of experience in business ownership and leading operations, John has an approach that combines technical knowledge and sharp business knowledge. Scout Anderson is the general manager overseeing the full production and installation pipeline at Contour Panel. With a background in industrial engineering and years of hands-on leadership in manufacturing and logistics, Scout brings a systems level mindset to our conversation today. So without further ado, welcome John and Scout. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you, Lauren. That was quite the intro. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that was awesome. Glad to be here, Lauren.
Awesome. It's definitely hard to introduce two people because I write these long paragraphs on you and I want to make sure we're quick and efficient with it. But
right.
So today, the show description that I was running through, the things that I really thought you guys could speak well on, is just the economy is changing, right? Whenever any political leadership comes into play or exits play, things kind of shift a little bit. And so right now, margins are tighter, lead times are longer, just in general business, expectations seem to be higher. And somehow people are still expected to surpass last year's growth. So today, I really just kind of want to dig into who you guys are, what you do, and then we can just kind of get into the nitty gritty on business and how it's changing and what that's been looking like so far in 2025. So can y'all give me a high level overview of Contour Panels and Builders Closets?
Well, Contour Panel is a manufacturer of closet and cabinet components. Contour Panel doesn't install. Contour Panel never engages with a end user. Builder Closets, on the other hand, sells to home builders, and it also sells to remodelers on occasion. We have both of those segments because if one segment gets soft, then we need to be able to kick over into the other. When we first started out, we were all Contour Panel, and what happened was if our customers didn't have any sales, we didn't have anything to do, which is scary. Right?
Yeah.
If you have a shop with nothing going through it, it's not much of a shop. So yeah, that's who we are. It's what we do. The builder side is relatively new in Dallas-Fort Worth. On houses less than $2 million. Houses over $2 million, they're doing closets and have done closets for some time. We're trying to introduce it down in the 750 to 2 million, down in that line. We really don't have a competition there. We really compete with painted shelves and plain rods that you see in all the new houses across the nation.
So I want to dive into that real quick. How is it like having a business with minimal competition? Because we have a business that has minimal competition, and you would think, oh, that's perfect. Your barrier to entry is going to be really low because you have such minimal competition. But we've actually found that it actually kind of shoots us in the foot a little bit because people are so unaware of what you do, how your services can ROI, just because it's a newer, trendy, for lack of better word, thing. So do you guys experience that at all?
Yeah, that's interesting because that's kind of like us, Lauren, and it's convincing people that you need us.
Yep.
Yeah.
They've been doing the same thing, and they've been doing the same thing forever, and people continue to buy houses. So why would I want to pick up any additional cost? So yeah, that's why there's no competition. Is because there hasn't been a ton of demand in that. But I lived through countertops. When I started in countertops, everything was laminate. We did laminate in $1 million houses over the course from 2002 to 2006. There was a sea change in the industry where by 2007, if you didn't have granite countertops or some kind of stone countertop in your home, your home was substandard quality. We think the same thing is going to happen with closets.
Yep.
As homes get smaller, organized storage will become a greater premium, and people will pay for it. What we've seen from the demand side is that it is in demand. Accessibility to the product is limited because of the builder's resistance or hesitance. But as it becomes more mainstream, there'll be lots of competition.
Yeah, and a lot of it for us is the foot in the door part of the situation. That's the biggest, the hardest part to get through. But with the builders we've gone online with, once that step is done, the foot's in the door, they see our product, their customers get to see it and give feedback. It's a huge hit at that point going forward. So it's hard to talk these builders into a new thing, a new profit center, something that is coming down the pipeline as far as demand from from their customers. But once we're there, once we build a relationship, it's been fruitful for sure.
One thing that's always fascinated me about businesses is when people, even seasoned business owners that have been doing this for years and years and years, have just kind of dug their heels in the sand as far as anything that's change related. Because as we know in business, if you're not adapting, you're gonna just fall behind, no matter if it's in your marketing or the way you're producing things or the systems you're using or whatever the case is. And yet people are still so resistant to just take that leap and say, this is going to make my product, this is going to make it better. Are you guys seeing a difference with the manufacturing side of things versus the just selling to the builders in general, as far as people's eagerness to purchase what you're doing? Or is it about the same?
Definitely a difference. I mean, it is surprising to point it out, like how people will stick their feet in the ground, because what we're competing with is painted shelves that don't look in the builder world. What we're competing with is a painted shelf system that doesn't look great. And most of these new build homes only hang clothes. They don't have drawers. They don't have much shelving storage and whatnot. And there's a big advantage as far as storage capabilities and aesthetic that our product brings. So that's why, going back to what I said earlier, once people start our program and they realize the feedback that they're getting, it's a big hit. But it is pretty wild that we're competing with something like that and that people dig their feet in so hard on the ground. The contour panel components part, on the other hand, is those are customers who are ready to upgrade. They're looking for the cool new thing. They know they don't have enough storage. So that's when our projects get intricate, when we're doing the big systems, the more aesthetic pieces like the accessories in these closets and whatnot. So between the two, the contour panel folks are usually ready to go all the way. The people who are buying through our dealers and whatnot.
Okay.
Yeah, the retail buyer is generally somebody who bought a house in the last 5 years and hates their closets.
Yeah.
That's where Builder Closets started.
Gotcha. So that's more the consumer side of the business, and then you've got B2B with the manufacturing, correct?
Right.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it is. Yeah. Contour panels really starting to get make a niche for itself in the independent closet dealer world. So lots of little franchises, lots of we've talked to people that are sales reps for other closet companies that are looking to go out on their own, but they need manufacturing, and there's obviously a significant investment there. And I think we excel at helping them get their feet wet, get started, and hopefully create a better cushion for them, a little safeguards against some of the things that happen to new businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. What's it like managing, because you've got a B2B business and then you've got a B2C company, and even though they work hand in hand, it's umbrella companies within each other in the same space, it's still a completely different, unless I'm wrong, a completely different business model for the two different companies.
We're B2B. We're both companies are B2B. We don't sell to the end user. We don't sell to retail users. Our products wind up in retail spaces, in people's homes, but it goes through a remodeler, it goes through a home builder, or it goes through a closet dealer. So, we don't want to be B2C. We have a dealer network, a good, strong dealer network that goes B2C.
Awesome. So then now that people kind of have an idea of who you are and what you're doing, so for other listeners that are still kind of unsure, think high, and you guys can help me paint this picture here, but I'm thinking like high-end luxury closets, but at a normal closet price where it's not going to break the bank, but something that you might see in a movie where they've got all these nice shelving and the lights and everything. Am I kind of on the right track explaining that here?
As far as our product, that's kind of where Builder Closet steps in.
Okay.
Builder Closets will provide. So just to break it down between Contour Panel and Builder Closets, Contour Panel sells to closet dealers, right, who go to retail. Contour Panel doesn't go to retail. Builder Closets doesn't go to retail. We stay out of that. We don't compete with those guys who are selling to those retail customers. The folks who are selling to those retail customers are our customers. And then Builder Closets, that's where we make our own closets, our own designs and whatnot. And those are a wholesale version of a closet that goes strictly to builders so that we don't compete with any of our closet dealers. And there's a fine line there. We have to, the reason that we have Builder Closets is because we do have this wholesale capability to where we can make, sometimes we call it the Volkswagen of closets, right? Because beautiful product, but
Man closets.
and it's never going to fall apart on you. It's never going to need that much maintenance. It's just going to go. Now we have customers who will sell the Corvette of closets or whatever it might be. It's expensive. It's got all the bells and whistles and all these things to pay attention to. But yeah, as far as the Builder Closet side, to your point, Lauren, it is this big, beautiful closet that is not it's relatively similar to what builders are already paying to put painted shelf systems in their home. It's a profit center for them. It's a selling point for them. But it doesn't exceed any luxury. We really tailor it depending on the builder, depending on the customer. But it's a pretty mainstream and wholesale style product that is a major upgrade from what they're already doing, but it's nothing that's complicating their systems.
Yeah. Well,
We can do that, Lauren. We can make it's the same components in Kim Kardashian's luxury closet as it is going into a production home in Rockwall, Texas. It's just fancier components.
yeah.
So when you compare, it doesn't take a lot of closet to improve upon the painted shelf. You've seen the images of our stuff, and we'll put it up against painted shelves any day of the week. But I wouldn't want to. I'd stop short of saying it was the majority of it was luxury. That's on occasion.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
run of the mill basic closets in $1 million home doesn't compare to Kim Kardashian's closet.
Well, we can, if anybody has any questions just for visualization, I'm a very visual person, so we can always post them in the comments and link some of your LinkedIn feed if anybody's curious. But I think kind of based on what you guys do, you would know all about this. But before the show, I really wanted to make sure that we touch a little bit on the tariff situation. So right now, the U.S. has recently implemented significant tariff increases, such as doubling tariffs on steel or aluminum imports to about 50%, aiming to bolster the domestic industries. So curious what you guys are seeing with that, and how is your business adapting with the supply chain issues here?
We haven't seen a ton of supply chain issues thus far.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember back in October, maybe September, October of last year, before the election, there was an imminent longshore strike, right? They were going to shut down the importing of materials in the United States from a labor negotiation.
Yep.
So when that was up, we bumped up our inventory, and I believe a lot of people bumped up their inventory because I had dealt with a longshore strike before, back in the 2000s. So our inventories were up then. When the first noise of tariffs started, once again, we bumped up our inventories. All of our suppliers bumped up their inventories. So the materials we have on hand haven't really been tariffed. We haven't hit that yet. I feel like we're coming out of that, where the inventories are being exhausted, and now we're going to start getting into it. There are, what do you think, Scout? We have hundreds of little components that go into closets, screws and angle brackets and little rod cups and all this different stuff. Scout and I were talking this week. We got to go back through our inventory list and revalue every item that's on the inventory list to make sure that we're accounting for it properly. Because so far it's been, I searched for a specific closet rod for a customer recently. It used to cost about $6 a foot. Now it's cost $12 a foot. So that was an eye opener. It was the first time we've actually felt the tariffs. On the board side, our manufacturers, our largest supplier, has a manufacturing facility in North Carolina. So we won't feel any kind of charge or any kind of tariff out of that.
No.
Wow. It's crazy to think that just a simple closet rod has pretty much doubled.
It's not all out of China, so not everything we buy is from China. And that's going to be the most challenging thing is that we do have materials that come out of Spain and what happens with Spain. And we do have materials that come out of Germany and what happens to Germany. It's definitely an exciting journey as you dodge the landmines of potential expense.
Yeah, so more of a waiting game right now to see what happens and what exactly is affected. But just taking inventory now and analyzing your cost is probably a good idea for all businesses across the board.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I agree. You got to go back and look at your costs to make sure it is still what you thought it was a year ago or 6 months ago. It created some hesitancy. We saw our backlogs drop. In January, we were a month backlog. February, we were a 3-week backlog. March, down to 2 weeks. April, better just right at a week. And hell, there were some times in May that we were within a week. And I think that's just, it's changing the economy. Saw the same thing in a recession. Anytime something changed, gas prices, for instance, we would see traffic drop. And I think we see the same thing here where the American consumer just doesn't know. There's some uncertainty, right?
Yeah.
And just like the few things business owners hate more than uncertainty, I would say the consumer's the same way. We don't know what it's going to cost us next week.
Yeah. Yep. Unpredictability. But that's the beauty of being a C-suite in a company and owning a business. That is just part of it. You chase that, I guess, a little bit of adrenaline there.
I don't know if beauty's how I would describe it, but it's definitely different every day.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So, John, you have owned companies multiple before this, right? Or you've at least owned. Okay. So you're seasoned in business ownership. Scout, I know your background, a little bit of engineering. How does it work having somebody that has, and I know you might laugh at me at first, but I want to know the truth. So how is it like working together when you've got somebody that is legacy in the industry, has been seasoned in business ownership, and then you're coming in here, I don't know, millennial, and you've got all these new ideas on new technologies. How does that complement each other in the workspace? How does that work? Walk me through that.
Well, the first thing, as I kind of came to be here with John, because John brought me on in the beginning, and it was just different in so many ways, because I had worked for some small businesses, even some similar style startups that were not run by a guy who had done it before, really. Like you kind of mentioned with John, there's legacy there, there's success there, there's background there, and that was immediately evident. So there was that. I felt like I had a great mentor and a great person to go into this with, and to kind of show me the ropes of how a company from scratch looks, and how it could look, how he expects it to look. And if it doesn't look the way we expect it, then we just keep going, and here's what we can do, that type of thing. Just the confidence in it and everything behind that. But then also, John was a person who really trusted me with, kind of like you said, bringing in a lot of my mechanical experience and I guess young brain too is part of it. But basically, when it came to the physical aspect of the machinery in the shop and the planning and how the manufacturing process is going to work, what machines we do need, how products come in, how materials come in, and then how products get out the door. He basically just put that on my plate and trusted me with some of my experience to go through that process and through trial and error, figure out the best way to make these closets and get them out the door. So that was huge coming into this too. This has been my first opportunity to where I've been able to show what I got, I guess, and just be trusted with that, and also have great guidance along the way, and have confidence in this company that this guy, he's done it before, and knows what we're looking at and starting a new business. So it's all new. It's been really new, but it's been really rewarding through this first half a decade is what we're coming up on, I guess. So yeah.
Nice. John, what's it like working with somebody who is younger when you've been doing this for years? And I hear a lot of people say it can be really good because you've got somebody that's willing to learn. They have that hustle, if you will, versus somebody that's been seasoned in the industry. Like, this is my way. This is how I'm going to do it. And that's that. So how is it like working with just a younger general manager as it is?
It's great. With Scout, when I started, I knew the company. I knew Scout before I started the company, right? So I had actually targeted Scout and said, I can start a company with that guy. I thought he had all the parts. I thought he had everything that he needed.
Did you poach him?
Right. Yeah, I was right. With Scout, the hardest thing with him is he's so competent that I have to remind myself that he's a young guy. He couldn't possibly have experienced that before. So as we go through the day, I mean, I'm like, hey, what about this? Oh, yeah, we got that. Hey, what about that? Oh, yeah, no problem, got that. And then, so I just assume, oh, well, he's got it. I'm not worried about him. And then we'll run into a scenario where he didn't have this because he didn't know it existed. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I got to remind him about some things. The energy's great. The youth is great. I love the different perspectives. And that's actually, he was talking about letting him do it his way. I want him to do it his way. When you do it your way, you own it, right? When somebody shoves it down your throat and says, no, do it this way, then that's a little bit different. You're doing what the boss tells you. And we need... my experience is if you want to attain anything, you're going to have guys like Scout to hold up the tent, right? And to execute on a daily basis. And he does that. It's frustrating dealing with young guys. I'm sure he's got the same thing, flipping old guys, flipping young guys. But by and large, excuse me, I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change anything we've done. It's been a journey already, and we're just getting started.
I love that. I interviewed a couple recently in our area, and they're like the networking gurus. They're very young. They're always going to events, but they both work in legacy industries, for lack of a better term. One of them is in construction, commercial roofing, and the other one is in the legal space. And so just talking to them about their journey and trying to get their foot in the door as two young people in a legacy industry, we always... Scout, I'm sure you've heard it too. Oh, before I was born, I was doing this. And it just immediately goes to just say, oh, you're not as qualified to do this. And so they were actually challenging that, and they kind of flipped the script in one of our lives. And they're like, that's actually not the case. Yes, of course, there's going to be things that we don't know about, but there's also things that we can bring completely new perspectives to, like AI. We're able to keep up with that much faster and insert new ideas. So are you guys adapting or taking on any new technologies or anything to really advance your business?
That's all that new stuff's really Scout, right? It's social media awareness and all that. I was well down my career path before that even came along. So
Well, as far as products go, too, I will say there's some new stuff that's not common in the industry that we're working on and we're having initial success with, and that we're kind of slow rolling out in combination with what we already do with closets. And it's something that we're not quite ready to bring fully to the market yet. But yeah, all the way down to the manufacturing. I mean, a lot of this comes from John, too, because John, not only does he have legacy, he knows how to take new ideas and water them and make them grow, and know that they're going to be problematic in the beginning, but get through that and find the finished thing. So, yeah, John, we've got some new products that are going in here that are different than everybody does it, really. It's stuff that we're not quite fully launching yet, like I said, but yeah, there's some pioneering going on for sure.
That was part of the allure of the new business when we started it, going into a new, an adjacent industry, but it was a new industry for us, right? It's not countertops. And that's been one of the things we've had the most fun with, is that we don't know what you're not supposed to be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore we line up and try it. And yeah, we're having some success, and we're going to have success in the future because we're going to push the front edge of this product. Yeah, we think it has a lot of leg. It has a lot of room to grow, a lot of runway there.
And to round it out, the general idea, and we're not bringing up exactly what we're working on here because we're not quite ready, but we're working on stuff that goes with closets that usually has to be ordered out from separate vendors from different suppliers. And we're working on a kind of different approach to be able to do a lot of this stuff in-house right here in Denton with our normal manufacturing of the closets, products that go right along with our closet systems. So it's a pretty cool new thing that's coming, and it's definitely new to the industry.
That's exciting. All I can think about is Modern Family. Jay had the closet shop, and then he had the iPad, and they would talk to the iPad, and it would like bring them whatever outfit. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. So
Yep.
I'll keep my fingers crossed. I want to know about that as soon as it happens, because that's what I'm visualizing.
That's funny. What was Jay's last name?
I have no
somebody,
idea.
Somebody said, "Oh, you're a regular Jay somebody," and I didn't know who that was.
Probably.
I was like, "Yeah, I guess so." I think it's a compliment.
That's where you need Scout to translate for you. Be like, who is this?
Exactly. You
have a fan here, Kelly Hoodwin, who I know personally and is one of your clients. She said that we are a production builder and have builders closets in some of our homes. And let me tell you, these closets are such a selling point, and our customers are so impressed that we have them in all of the quality.
So bring a tear to my eye, Kelly.
Oh, well, I figured we would mention that comment. That's a raving fan for you guys for sure. So
that was awesome. We love Altura, and Altura was the first to embrace closets and embrace the vision. And Kelly and Donnie really pushed it and gave us the opportunity, and we're very thankful, and we'll be eternally thankful.
And for those that are listening in other states and other countries, even we've got some few people in Canada, so shout out to Canada. But we have Kelly Hoodwin. She is the president of the Dallas Builders Association. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys are primarily a Texas-based business, but your manufacturing side expands outside of Texas. Is that correct?
Yeah, Builder Closets is Dallas only. Basically because of my builder relationships from my previous company. Contour Panel, we ship closets as far away as Florida, and we're looking to honestly, we think that's fertile territory for us, expanding the components for the closet dealers, the franchises and such.
Would you say it's easier or harder staying mostly centralized to one location as far as selling? I can see the benefit because you can really maximize sales from one particular like geographical area. But if you open it up, then you have all that space, but completely different advertising ball game. So what would you guys say is how that works for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, I see you looking at me, John, but you're doing most of the sales.
Yeah, I want to hear your take.
Yeah, well, as as our selling is, I guess on the builder closet side, yeah, we're like John said, we're kind of locked into the Texas area because we manage everything at that point. We want to do site walks and all that stuff, and we want to run our install crews out there. And we're just built out in the local area right now to do all that expansive work. But then when it comes to the contour panel side, the component side that's manufacturing for different dealers, we've just started to push into being open to marketing outside of the region and more into a national marketing. And it's something that, yeah, you can see there's a lot more opportunity out there, not just being locked into this local area. There's a lot of people doing closets locally, but it does tap out eventually, I guess. And there's so much going on out there from Florida to California, all over the place. And most of these people are ordering and getting their components supplied from a national aspect anyway. So a lot of people we know in Texas are getting parts out of Michigan and whatnot. So it's common in the industry and it's hard to do well, but it's definitely something that we've started to develop a good process around it. We've started to loop it into our marketing too, the national sense. So
awesome. So how have you approached scale without sacrificing standards? Because we see this all the time in business. When a company starts to really grow, their customer service declines, their product declines because they're dealing with more at scale. So they kind of have less to lose, if you will, by adding more people. So how have you guys approached that?
We're keenly aware of it.
Yeah. And it's just not breaking from our standards, really, no matter seeing the scale increase and whatnot. So we have this standard that we do on a certain phone call with every single customer right before their job goes through and starts to manufacture through our shop. We do a kickoff meeting, and it's gotten harder and harder and more repetitive. And a lot of times it can seem like it's useless. And maybe we cut that out because it takes too much time. But we haven't. We've stayed standard with it. And there are so many little things that'll happen once in a while with those kickoff meetings that just save our butt in the future because we do this every single time. And rather than, cutting it out because we're probably fine. We don't need this little last minute meeting. So just making sure we're sticking to the things that set us up for success in the beginning when we were smaller and we could take all these steps to make sure jobs went through well. Just making sure we stick to all those little things.
Old school customer service is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what we're set to do, right? We want to be the resource for our customers. And I believe anticipation is the key to customer service. I think it's the truest form of customer service. And that's what the kickoff meeting is our engineer, Scout, looking at a job and anticipating a problem. Hey, this could be a problem here. And you know the deal, if you resolve it on the front end, it never becomes a problem compared to sending the job out and now it's a disaster on a job site and everybody's got to backtrack. And we've got a lot of people moving, right? When we're doing that, we've got our customer, their installers, their homeowners. There's a lot of people involved. And if we spend an extra 10 minutes making sure that all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed, I'd say we're 97%. We're not quite perfect, but we're 97%. Pretty darn good.
We're really good at fixing that 3% too. I'll tell you that.
Heck yeah. I feel like that's doesn't matter what company, because I've got companies all over that are listening to this that aren't just in this space, but they're in software, whatever the case is. And it just seems like a good lesson there is just anticipating the customer's need and spending the extra time and manpower, whatever, at the front end, because that's actually going to save you money in the back end. So if you can automate that and make sure you have a process dialed in for that, then you're going to save yourself some headache down the road.
Well, yeah. What we want more than anything else is our customers to sell more closets. And the way they can sell more closets is if they can finish the closet they already have started. And as being on the other side, being in the installation end and having had a career installing product, I understand incomplete jobs. And incomplete jobs are offensive. We despise them, and we will eradicate them as quickly as humanly possible.
Yeah, it's when somebody else drops the ball because they've got too much going on, and then you have to kind of clean up the mess, which unfortunately I think that happens all the time in business.
It does, but that's the way you set yourself up to be different. Our customers' problems are our problems.
Yeah. How are you guys showing people that? Because right now, I think a lot of companies, everybody's focused on themselves. Everything is so uncertain. People are not really as concerned with their vendors because they're so focused on the bigger picture of making sure their business stays alive. So how are you guys approaching connecting with your customer base and really just making them feel, okay, yes, I want to continue to use this vendor. I don't want to cut them back just because of all the uncertainty happening.
Scout, I'm interested in yours.
Well, a lot of it, I think a lot of it does come when there is a problem, there is something that comes up that's whoever's fault, but it's not ideal for us, not ideal for our customer. And then we prioritize fixing those things like nothing else through our shop. So we keep everything on schedule, and we have a couple things in our back pocket to make sure our schedule stays on track. But if there's a customer that's dealing with a problem that we can fix, we stop everything and we fix it right then and there. So as much as you don't want those things to happen to where you have to fix these problems and things do slow down, the way we make those fixes happen quickly and get them figured out and done and out of the way as quickly as we can and as simply as we can. Once we're done and we're through it and the problem's solved, that's how we show our customers how we can make their lives easier. Our jobs, the standard process of them going in, it is easy, it's simple, it's another vendor, we get in, we get out, we're done. But like any other vendor, things could go wrong, and when they do, I mean, it's almost we make it a non-problem really quick. So
yeah, for everybody, problems exist.
Right.
Problems are going to happen, right? Nobody's perfect. We're not perfect. We're humans. And we don't expect perfection from our vendors, but we do expect them to urgently resolve them. And that's what we do. And that's how we go about it. We don't lose clients because we're here to be their best vendor, period.
That's such a wonderful point that you bring up. I say it all the time, but I'm going to say it again. I think the traditional scope of LinkedIn was very cut blazers, making sure everything is perfect, just showing the best side. And I think that's kind of a whole message with social media in general, is everybody wants to put their best foot forward, including with the business. And I love changing the narrative and really just diving deep and figuring out, okay, sure, that's what you're going to show on the outside, but let's really talk about the nitty gritty. Let's talk about the pain points, because it exists and you'd be lying to say it doesn't. So I love that right away. We didn't even have to have that conversation prior to the live. You're like, here you go. Here, we do have problems, but it's all in how you fix them. So I think that's a great lesson too, for just anybody out there that's right now. There's issues with supply chain and all that. So I know that a lot of people are affected by that. So just making sure that you're doing preliminary work there and staying on top of that is a good way to approach that.
Yeah. Stay ahead of it. Don't get behind, right? It's really hard to make up ground with potential supply chain issues. But no, we vigorously attack each one of those jobs, and we treat each one of those jobs like it's our last opportunity. And that way it never is.
Like that. So stillness in business, that's one thing. Work-life balance, as I think is the trendy term for it right now. And there's so many companies that are really trying to make that an initiative because if you have a good, healthy work-life balance, you show up better at work. So as a business owner, I know that is damn near impossible to do. You really don't get that work-life balance because you're always on. So John, I'm curious how you approach this and your day-to-day after being a business owner for so many years.
Well, you better love it. You better love it, because you're going to live with it. And honestly, I think that's how you're successful, right? I always think about it. And you asked us a question before this, what's something we could talk about for hours, or things that we do or anything else. And I can tell you at 50, it's work, right? I have a boat, and I have a lovely wife and a lovely family, and we spend time together and we hang out, and it's great. But in my off times, I'm trying to figure out how to keep this thing afloat through whatever situation comes up. And but yeah, I enjoy it. And I'll tell you, you don't enjoy work unless you are retired for a short time. So,
Mm.
so I was retired for about 4 months there, 5 months.
Didn't make it
And
very long.
no, the first 2 months were great. It was a lot of fun. Then 3 months was starting to get a little boring, and then by 5 months, I was like, yeah, I'm not meant to retire. I need problems. I need challenges, and that's what I like to do, and I enjoy it. There's no middle ground, as you know, Lauren, right? You're either really good or you're really bad, and there's no middle ground. And oh man, sometimes I regret saying it, but I do enjoy the ride.
It's adrenaline. I think all business owners, there's that little part of them that it's like, oh yeah, the adrenaline. It's nice because then when things are calm, it's like, oh wow, that wasn't that bad.
Right, right. Well, I tell Scout that all the time. This is what it's like owning a business. It's up and down, and it's always something.
Mm-hmm. Story of my life. Yep.
Not enough sales. It's too many sales. It's this supplier's here, that supplier there.
Can certainly help with perspective just on life in general. If it's always something, you just learn how to have a positive mindset about just about anything, because no matter what comes to you, you're like, you know what, I've dealt with harder.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because and Scout still has to deal with some of that because he's young, but we're going to find a way. We've always found a way before, right? And it's never as bad as you think it is. And it's never as good as you think it is. It's somewhere in between. And if you have that expectation, then it's fine. The other thing I do, Lauren, is I don't listen to news anymore. I'm completely checked out on news. I can't do it. But that's an additional burden I can't carry. And you know what? The world's gone on just fine without me.
Scout will keep you trendy. Don't worry.
Yeah, he'll let me know if I need to know something.
Scout, how has that been being you worked for other companies before? You probably didn't have that much of a stake in them like you have in this. So what was that transition like mentally for you to jump into a role that now all of a sudden you care, I would say probably a lot more, because you just have more at stake. How is that being a young person and going, you're supposed to traditionally work for somebody for 20 years before you do something on your own. So how did that work?
I mean, it's just super exciting. Actually seeing like the fruits of the work kind of get more and more abundant. I've been at some kind of stagnant places in the past where you get your paycheck, you work your hours, your off time, and when you're off, and when you're working, and that's fine. But it's boring. There's not much advancement to it, not a huge future to look towards other than, whatever your yearly raise might be and whatnot. And then John, working with Contour Panel and for John and with John, obviously I know where he's come from, and then working with him here, he walks the walk and he talks the talk, and he's excited about it. And that's been a little bit foreign to me, is like an excitement about work and an excitement about the successes that come and the growth that comes with the company. And just like you said too, even the problems you go through, it's never as bad as it seems. And on the other side of it, you're getting better and you're building your company, you're making more relationships. And so I just kind of follow in his footsteps, and his excitement for business has been contagious, because it's exciting for me too, to be a part of something that's growing like this, but to actually watch somebody who's done it before and how he like gets excited about business and about successes and whatnot. I don't know. It just makes it's like it's actually there. It's actually possible, and we're actually kind of we're doing it here. So it's cool to be a part of, and it motivates me to work too. Sometimes I wish I could see like a little light, a live light for John's computer at home, because I know he's working all the time, and I try to keep up with the amount he does. And I do, and it's easy to do a lot of the time, because I know that everybody's John and I are both a part of it, and we're both here to just keep this thing chugging along and keep this thing building the way it is. So exciting is definitely what it's been.
You say it's never as bad as it seems. How do you actually, either one of you, how do you walk that out? It's one thing to say it, but how do you live that?
I usually try to match John's attitude, because some things will seem pretty bad to me, and man, I am just like, all right, this sucks right now. John will be good at just seeing the finish line. It's out there, it's somewhere. We're gonna get through this tough spot, whatever it might be. So might as well not be down about it, and might as well just be ready to attack it, ready to get through it. And so and also look at the positives of it. Just as far as getting through these problems, the learning that comes with them, and also just sometimes the busyness of what we're going through and doing a lot of work gets hard to deal with. But if you're looking at the positive and what we're doing, we're building relationships with customers. We're building this company. I mean, it's huge. John's pretty good at having a good perspective through a lot of these problems that we might face, and I've learned a lot from him. That's for sure.
How many years did it take you to learn that, John?
Oh my goodness, 20. I mean. I was reflecting on it this year that, there's always these steps, right? And the first stage was we had to get the machinery in, and that's the biggest thing. And oh my gosh, this goes wrong and that goes wrong and it all goes wrong, but it still goes in, right? It didn't happen on Tuesday like I wanted it. Darn it. It did happen on Wednesday. You see, so that's the thing, and I know there's been times in my career, there's been times here where we're pulling our hair out, and I just know we're going to figure it out. Yeah. I know that Scout's going to figure it out. I know I'm going to figure it out. How am I going to figure it out? I don't know. I know we're going to figure it out, but that's because I've been doing it for 30 years, right? And that's what I was referencing earlier with Scout. Scout's not been doing it for 30 years. Now, he's got pretty good confidence that we're going to figure it out, but he doesn't know how yet. And
a lot of it for me has been having the opportunity to look back at these things that we have figured out. The whole is not as bad as it seems. It's like, sure, that's great to say, but it feels pretty bad right now. But
right.
When you do get through them and you can look back at them, like John mentioned kind of in our beginning stages, we had so many problems around just setting up machinery and setting up the workflow and all that. And it seemed like stuff that would be hard to ever get through, and now it's great to look back on that, and it wasn't as bad as it seems. We're fine. We're at everything got set up, we're running, we're good. Now there's more problems to be had, and we're going to approach those the same way. So
it's opportunities, it's not problems.
Exactly. Yeah, I hate that I'm using that word. That's right. Yeah.
I have been on this journey very recently about retraining your brain. So it's actually possible. If you look at all the negatives all the time, you only see the negatives. And outward, it was very easy. Oh yeah, I'm a positive person, whatever. But inward, problems happen. And as a business owner that's doing it without a partner, there's this meme. If you Scout, you're probably familiar. It's a dog and it has coffee on the table and there's just like fire everywhere. That's how I can pull it up in a minute. But I feel like that's how business ownership feels sometimes. And so apparently, so studies reveal positive thinking changes neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, and these chemicals control your mood and emotions. So this can help this change by looking at the positives more and taking a negative where you would normally say, oh, this sucks, and turning it into a positive. It can actually help you deal with stress better and rewire the pathways in your brain to look at things positively. So it's such a great opportunity, Scout, that you're able to have somebody that has been through it and that's took 20 years to learn it. So then you don't have to have 20 years to learn that.
And I've worked with people who get mad and do look at the negative and don't treat things like there's positives going along with it. And it's not that mindset, I think, transfers through people, just like kind of John's positive mindset, and we're going to get through it, and there's success everywhere and there's opportunity everywhere. That mindset translates too. So it's refresh. It's been refreshing since I started working here, and I definitely feel like this is it's a great opportunity being here with John, with somebody who's been through it, but also knows a good perspective to have going through a business and running a business.
It's expectations too, Lauren, right? Where I know anytime we start something new, it's going to be a challenge, and we're going to bump around as we try to figure out the right way to do it. And that's okay. We didn't succeed today, but we learned, and we do learn our lessons. And that's something really I would commend Scout on, is that we don't make the same mistake twice. We'll make plenty of mistakes, but there are always new mistakes that we hadn't thought of yet. And something wonderful is going to happen today. And if you believe that, then it will.
Such a good core value too to have at like the base of your company is just that principle alone, because if you approach management that way, saying, okay, it's totally fine for this mistake to happen once, but if you continue to repeat it, you're clearly not learning from it. So that's such a valuable perspective, especially with how rapidly things are changing and new technology and new information. And it's very easy to get overloaded with just information overload, and your team feels stressed out. And so just being able to ground everybody by just saying mistakes happen, but just don't do it again. That's just such a wonderful thing.
There's too many humans involved to expect no errors.
For now. There's so much coming out we're working on right now. It's a brand new thing. So AI is kind of at that point. I don't know, Scout, you need to show John the videos, but we're kind of at that point where you cannot distinguish a real person talking. And like, if I were to send a video to you, it could very well be AI of me. And we're at that point where it's kind of hard to tell. And in a year from now, we probably won't be able to tell. And so one thing that we're trying to take advantage of that and try and figure out, okay, how can we make content that is of John, but it's not actually John that made it? And it's so crazy to think about that. That's how we're shaping the way that we do content, and it's shaping the way businesses are advertising. And so you never actually know if it's real or not.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We really could be in two places at once.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, fortunately, the capabilities are kind of limited right now with the new software that's out. It's only about 8 seconds that's available to the consumer at a level that we actually would know how to access it. It's about 8 seconds that you can get a video. So not quite at the live version just yet, but oh gosh, hold on if that's the case.
Yeah, that's beyond me. All right, I'm leaving that stuff up to Scout. That's the next generation to take on that challenge.
Yeah. So, John, do you think that you'll ever add more companies onto the Builder Closet contour panel umbrella and delegate them all to Scout, or try and add more? Or are you guys going to just keep cruising with what you got? What are your future plans?
No, I believe that the business has to keep moving forward. We've added new products this year. We'll continue to add new products. We'll add new product lines as demand warrants. Right? If there's a lot of stuff we're interested in. I mean, we truly want Contour Panel to be a one-stop shop. What we found early on in Contour Panel was that customers were buying a lot of stuff that we could make, but it was specialized, so they were buying it from other places. And we can increase our own profitability, our own margins. We can make it easier on our customers to get those items in a timely manner. And our customers trust us, right? If they're going to buy from us, they trust us to execute that. So no, we'll continue to add products. We'll continue to grow the business as necessary. And if you're not, I think if you're not growing, you're dying, and everybody's going to eventually copy you. So there'll be other companies that spring up that'll be little miniature contour panels in the future. The only way for us to remain competitive is to continue to push the envelope for what's next. Like Scout says, that's exciting. It's also challenging, right? Because we don't ever stop and just do what we've always done. We're on to the next thing. Heck, we're onto a product right now, and we've completely done doors and drawers differently, shaker doors and drawers. We got a complete new twist on it. I'm already looking at what's the next after that. Right. So that's, yes, I do expect us to continue to grow. I expect to see new companies added in as necessary, and we'll see where it takes us.
What's a reasonable expectation to look ahead? Like, are you looking ahead 10 years from now? Are you looking ahead 5 years from now? Like, what's your average that you're?
I look 3 years out always.
Okay, why 3?
Much, always 3 years. 10 years is more along the my transition of leadership to Scout window. That's when I'm going to go.
So you can try and re-retire?
That's right. That's when I'm going to take my wife to Europe for that trip, long promised.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my window is pretty much 10 years. I'll never retire. But I do believe that we've got a leadership team with Scout leading it that'll be ready to go and probably ready for me to step back a little bit 10 years from now.
Dang, that's exciting. A lot to live up to, Scout.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's, yeah, that's the thing. John talked about this early on when he brought me on and kind of talked about his long-term plans. And it was cool that they were just even out there. He's a really planned out guy. And I think he looks at the near term just as much as he does the long term. He kind of encompasses it all. So, yeah.
Why 3 years out, John?
3 years out because that's your lease terms, right? So as you're looking on where I think the business is going to be a year from now, where it's going to be 2 years from now, where I think it's going to be 3 years from now, we obviously have to have the resources available to us. We have to have space, financing, all those things, and that's a reasonable term. Now it's all changing. You mentioned earlier today that everything's kind of shifted in Q1 of 25. So the plans that I had originally for this year have been altered somewhat, not greatly, because we're still in a wait and see kind of what's going to happen, how's this thing going to go. But 3 years allows us to adjust for changes in interest rates, changes in construction, changes in tariffs, changes in all those things. Where I think 5 to 10 years, who knows?
Yeah.
Right. When I get there, I'm guessing a little more broadly, except that the succession plan is set for 10 years.
Yeah, that's the one thing that's planned that far out.
I could do that because we know all the parts of that one.
Yeah, 3 years out is really good too, I think, from a small, medium business perspective, because you're forced to look a little bit farther out than the day to day, and it helps to shift your perspective to say, okay, things have actually progressed a lot in the past 6 months. Even though it feels like no movement has happened, we've done all these things, and then here's what we're going to do in 3 years. So it's always a good that's maybe helps play in that mindset that we were talking about just a bit ago, is just focusing on maybe not the immediate future as much as the far future. I mean, you have to do both, but being able to do both can really help with just keep a business moving forward.
Yeah, I think the hesitance around, planning out is that, nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow. But the benefit of experience is that tomorrow will come and you'll find a way through it. How it looks exactly, we don't know at the end of the day, but it's coming and we expect good things from it.
Yeah. Well said. Well, guys, we have about a minute left. Is there anything else, any advice that you want to give, anything that you want to touch on or note that you want to end on?
Crickets. Nothing that sticks out for me necessarily. John, you got anything?
Yeah, I would just plug Contour Panel. Contour Panel, we sell shaker doors, we sell glass. You can get the entire package from Contour Panel, and we can get it to you pretty much anywhere in the lower 48.
Scout?
We rock. We
Nice.
we're doing some
That's
cool
what I
stuff.
wanted to hear.
And whenever you get in our door, we're going to treat you like we do all of our customers, which is very well. And we'll show you why we rock. So, yeah, come on, see what we got.
Maybe. Heck yeah. Maybe they can learn a thing or two, too. You never know. So,
Yeah.
well, thank you, everybody who tuned in live. I appreciate it. And I hope everybody has a great Tuesday. Always have to pull out my calendar and make sure I have the right date when I say that. If you have any questions for John or Scout after the stream, feel free to leave a comment and I'll be sure to connect you. And until next time, LinkedIn, bye-bye.
Thanks, Lauren.